Alright, so I'm going to show how to open up and disassemble this Lenovo Yoga 730. This is a 13-inch Yoga model. So we are going to be replacing the screen on this model. I already took out the adhesive on the back, but I will show you how to do that. So this is a Lenovo Yoga 730-13 IKB. Okay, so first what you want to do is open the bottom. This is using a T5 screwdriver. Okay. So get the T5 screwdriver and remove all the screws down here. Okay. This one. Alright. This one. Normally I take all the bottom screws off first, but we started the video, so we'll just continue. Okay. Alright, move that one. So I'm opening this so that I can disconnect the battery. So whenever you mess with the screen, you want to disconnect the internal battery first. Okay. Alright. Just like that. So now we got all 9 bottom screws out. Now we have to pry off this cover. Okay, so let's see, flip it over. I didn't try prying this one out first, so I'm not sure how difficult this will be. I am going to try, let's try with a suction cup first. Alright, so if you use a suction cup, you can easily pull this cover off. Alright, but if you don't have a suction cup, you can just use a pry tool and just go along like this. Okay, this back cover might be a little tricky to remove. See here, hopefully they're not hiding any screws underneath this adhesive strip here, or the rubber strip. Okay, so I'm going to try and pry this up. Yeah, this back piece is like really stuck. Let me see if there's anything in the front. Nope, you do have to take out this bottom cover separately. Okay, let's see here. So I don't see where this separates. I think it just separates at this rubber piece here because, yeah, I don't see a seam anywhere else. So that means you most likely have to pull this to yourself as you pry this up. Let's see if I am right. Probably gonna have to use a pry tool. Let's try with my thin metal pry tool here. All right. Pry that up. It's not really doing anything. What about the middle here? Can we pry this up? Kind of. I think I'm gonna remove the rubber if it comes out, if it peels up. No, it feels like it's held down with some plastic, so we are gonna leave that. Okay, so this bottom cover is tricky to remove. Let's see. How am I going to get this out? Okay, that got this out. So I pushed the cover this way and then I pulled it up and it came out. So I'm going to do the same with this side. Push it towards the hinge and then lift it up. There we go. So that's how you get it out. Okay, so there is somewhat of clips here, and then these clips, I don't know what this black plastic stuff is. It looks semi-melted. Okay, so what we're going to do is disconnect the battery here. So this one, because it's kind of the slack is bent like this, it's difficult to remove. So I'm going to have to take the battery out with the screwdriver first. So we are going to use, it looks like a PH1. So let's grab the PH1 screwdriver and we'll take out the screws here. Okay, keep the screws in order. You don't want to get them mixed up. They can be different sizes, lengths, and shapes. If you mix them up, you can damage the computer if you put them back in the wrong spots. Looks like there's only 4 screws holding this battery in place. Alright, remove those 4 screws. Lift up the bottom or the back of the battery with the tabs here. Then you can pull this down slightly and then grab the cable close to the connector. Let me zoom in here. Okay, grab the battery close to the connector here. And then what you do is you just wiggle it as you pull. Okay, just wiggle it as you pull back and it will come out just like that. All right, so this battery model number here, sorry, L16M4PB1. All right, that looks like the model number for the battery. So we'll set the battery aside. After you do that, you want to open the computer. Open it slowly because, open it slowly because you are missing the screws here that helped hold the computer in place. Okay, so open it slowly. And then, actually you didn't have to open it, but press and hold the power button on the side here. All right. So opening it, sometimes it's needed because if you don't open the screen, the power button actually doesn't turn the computer on. So I guess you do open the screen just to be safe, because sometimes if it's closed, again, it won't trigger, the power button won't do anything. All right. Oh, there's like some pet hairs and stuff in here. Let's remove that. Okay. So you got I think this is a fingerprint sensor cable. So to remove all these cables, you just flip up these little latches. When you flip that up, you can pull the cable back. Usually I grab the blue tab and then you can pull the connector out. To put it back, you just put the cable back in using the blue tab, right? Make sure it's flush and then you can push that down. So got the keyboard connector, fingerprint sensor, keyboard backlight connector. Then you got this connector for the trackpad. You got the speaker cable connector, which this speaker connects the other speaker. To remove the cable, you just go at the wing. Let me zoom in. The wing here, sorry, it's shaking around. Okay, and then you just grab the wings and wiggle it as you pull, like that, and it pops out. Okay, so I'm just gonna push it back in because I'm not removing any of this stuff. All right, the speaker doesn't look like any screws. You just lift it up and it comes out. Oops, sorry, it's going out of view. But the speaker, you just lift it up and it comes out. I'm gonna leave it in there again. Zoom back out. Okay, let's see what else we got here. So we got, all right, so once you press and hold the power button, you can disconnect the internal LCD connector. I don't need to remove this, so I'm going to leave it there. But if you want to remove it, basically what you do, you peel up this black sticker tab. Okay, let's see, how's it? Okay, so it's in the center. So in the center, there's this piece that you can pull up. Let me zoom in again. Okay, so there's this piece you can pull up, so you can grab that tab. And usually it's really hard to pull this tab up, so what I do is I use my fingernail underneath the connector, and then I just pry it up as I pull this tab up. So just like this. Let me see if I can show it. This tab is really stuck, so just like that. Okay, got some hairs coming out. All right, so there we go. Comes out like that. To put it back, be careful when you pry this up because you don't want to damage this part underneath. So yeah, that's why I use my fingernail. I can feel what I'm prying on. All right, and then just pop this back down. The fan looks like it's held in place with 2 screws, both fans. Okay, let's zoom back out. And the connector for the fan is the same as the keyboards. You just pop these latches up and you can pull the connectors out. All right, the SSD is a M.2. This is PCIe NVMe SSD. There's a screw underneath this warranty label, so I'm not going to remove it, but when you take out this screw, you can pull the SSD up slightly at an angle and then just wiggle it out. You can't change the RAM. I believe the RAM is soldered underneath here, so you can't change that. Then you got the wireless card here. It comes out just like the SSD and the SSD on this model, but you do have to peel up this adhesive that's covering the antennas. Okay, let me see if I can show you this. So peel up this adhesive, pull it aside. To remove the antennas, you just go underneath the tail and then you just pop up the tail just like that, and that's how you remove the wireless antenna. And then to remove the card, you just take out that screw. You can pull it up slightly and then wiggle it out. If you want to see how that comes out, I have all my other videos that show how to remove the wireless cards. Please watch one of those, but it's pretty straightforward. Pull out the screw or undo the screw and then you just pull it back. And that you can take out with the PH1 as well. All right, so to put the wireless antenna back, just line up the antenna. Just like that. I like to rub my nail on it. If it stays in place, you know it's lined up, and then you can push it back down. All right, oops. pop back out. Come on. These antennas can be kind of a pain to line up. There we go. Right, I'll actually show you how to take the antenna or the wireless card out. Take the one screw out. I'm going to leave the antennas on, but take that screw out. Once you do that, you can pull this up, as you can see, and then you kind of wiggle it and pull it back, and that's how you remove the wireless card. So I'm going to leave it back in there. All right. Just like that. Make sure it's pushed in all the way. Push it back down, and then put the screw back in. Okay. Make sure that the antennas aren't in the way when you're putting the screw in. Just like that. All right. And then put the adhesive back down. All right, so we already did all of that. So now I'm going to go ahead and remove the the screen. Okay. So again, make sure you held the power button down to drain any additional power from the computer. So what we're going to do, let's zoom back out. Sorry, I keep forgetting that I zoomed in. Okay. So we're going to flip the screen over completely, 360 degrees. Right, just like that. So to remove these, it's a little bit tricky. There's some clips on these sides that you need to pry up. And then the middle, you have to pry up the clips as well. So you get a thin pry tool, okay, just like this. And then what you want to do, maybe I should zoom in on this as well. Let's see if I can fit this in frame. Okay, so here, stop shaking please. So here we got the little cover. So you pry up here, okay. What I do is I kind of like twist, rotate this a little to pry up on the outer edge of this cover. Okay, once you do that, you can kind of grab it from here, okay, and then pull it up just like that. All right, so the reason you pry on that side is because the clip is right here on that side of this. So here you can see the clip is right there. Okay, same thing with the other side. If I can get this in camera, move some stuff out of the way. Same thing with this side, you pry on the innermost one, okay, just like that. Once you pry up that edge, you can kind of use your fingernail or another pry tool under and kind of wiggle it. All right, underneath here, like that, and then you can pop this thing out, okay? So the middle one, it kind of comes out a little bit easier. Let's see if I can show this. So we're gonna start on this side, right? Okay, so just get the tool in between the screen. Be careful. You can damage the screen if you're too rough with this. I wouldn't do this unless you really need to replace the screen. Okay, so just pry this up, and I'm using my fingernail on the back of this part. So this is on the other part of the hinge cover. And then while I pry this up, I pry up this side. Okay, so let's see if I can do it just like this. Okay. This part is a little bit tricky. Actually, it might be easier to pry up just from, I'm flipping the screen over, from this side. Let me see. I forgot how I did it the first time. But it should, once you get it started, you can pop the rest out pretty easily. Okay, I think I do have to start from the glass side. Yeah, it's coming out. Okay, come on. Okay, so once you get this, a little bit of it out, you can kind of go along. I just go along with my fingernail like this, kind of wiggling it and pulling it. It helps to pull the bezel towards the glass, okay, while you're kind of pulling it. So I'm pushing with my fingers. Let me zoom out so you can see. So I'm pulling this plastic piece with my fingers towards the glass side while I kind of lift up. So just like this. Okay, pushing it over towards the glass, all right, and then wiggling it to pull it up. All right, come on, there we go. Come on, let go. There we go. Okay, so now we got that plastic piece off. All right, we'll set that aside. Okay, so now what we're going to want to do is remove the two screws down here. So these you'll have to switch to a P0, okay? And we'll remove the 2 screws from the bottom here. Okay. So the tricky part is in these bottom corners. Oh, let me zoom out some more. You can't even see what I'm pointing to. In these bottom little corners down here, there are some little adhesive strips, so you will need some tweezers to remove them. You can use like a screwdriver or pliers if you have them. But I already took them out, but let me show you how you would do it. So you would get like some tweezers under here, and then you would grab down in this corner and you would pull it up. And if you've seen some of my other videos, a lot of these new screens are using a stretch release adhesive. So basically once you get the little tab out, you would just pull it straight back and keep pulling it, like keep pulling it and pulling it. And the adhesive, it's like curving around the screen up here and then back down. So as you pull it, it will release the adhesive. So the bad thing is if you break that adhesive, then the screen, to get it out, there's almost no way that you're going to get the screen out without damaging the LCD. So once you remove those 2 pieces of tape, I'm getting a call. I'll give them a call back later. But once you remove those 2 pieces of tape, then you can lift this piece up. Okay. And then when you lift this up, let me see if I probably need to zoom out some more. Okay. This. All right. So once you lift this piece up, you can pull this down just like that. Okay. And then you can rotate this up. All right. And then when you rotate this up, then you want to disconnect this cable here. Sometimes it helps to not have the screen folded all the way. So let me show you. So let's open up the screen part way again. Usually if you're going to leave the screen open, you either want to put the cover back on top so you don't damage it, or have some kind of anti-static surface like this to work on. Okay. The speakers might fall out. That's the only thing. All right. So when you have that, then you can pull the screen out. Okay. Drop it down. Oh, sorry. You can't see. But pull the screen out, drop it down like I was showing earlier, and then flop the screen forward just like this. All right, so we're going to have to peel up this adhesive and then take this connector out. So just peel up that. Let me zoom in again. Okay, peel this up. All right. So the replacement screen looks different, but hopefully everything will work the same. I don't know if I have a customer outside. I had people calling me, but I might have to get a separate camera or something to do this. All right, but just peel up the adhesive here. Yeah, the adhesive stuck to the screen instead of the tape, but let's see what we can do. Oh yeah, somebody just knocked on the door. Okay, hold on, I'll be back. I'm gonna pause this. Alright, sorry about that. Let's go back to removing the cable. Make sure you ground yourself when you're working on the computer. Whenever I come back, I kind of touch my knee on the metal frame of my desk. Alright, so let's peel this up. Underneath here, there's a latch. Flip that latch, and then grab that, and then just wiggle and pull it back just like this. Okay. All right, so now we got that connector out. You do have to also disconnect the touchscreen connector here. All right, so this, let's see, how are they holding this in place? There's some adhesive on it. So I like to use the replacement to look at it to kind of figure out how they're holding this in place. So this one, they do the touchscreen connector differently. Hopefully everything will be okay. It looks like they're wrapping the tape over. It lines up, the screw holes, everything seem to line up well. So it should be okay. All right, so let's see this connector. That means they put some tape on the back of it. So let's double check. Yeah, they put tape on the back here. So I'm gonna actually disconnect this because this might be useful to some people. this is the digitizer or the touchscreen connectors. So to remove that, let's see, you flip up, it looks like this black part of the plastic. Yep. All right, there's 2 of them. Flip up both. All right, once you do that, you should be able to lift this board and disconnect those cables. Let's see. Oh, they put like a strong adhesive holding it in place. This is going to be tough. Let me try with the needle. Usually when I work on this, I'd have to have my head over the board, but it's going to block the camera view, so let me see. Hopefully I'm not blocking the way. Alright, so I'm pushing the board out here. Let's see if I can use this tool since I got a gap under there. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. So we got this. Alright, it is moving. Okay, there we go. So I kind of twisted the tool and it popped that up. Alright, I'm taking this out because it looks like they wrapped some adhesive underneath here to hold that connector in place. Alright, so I peeled up this board here. Alright, I'm going to disconnect these cables by pulling the board away. Okay, and it comes out like that. Technically, if you have the same exact matching touchscreen assembly, then you would transfer over this board as well. So there's an adhesive on here. As you saw, I had to pry it up. And normally what you do is you transfer this whole assembly onto the new one. But since they taped this thing over, so here's the tape. I didn't actually have to peel the board up, but hopefully that'll be useful to some of you guys. But there's this black tape holding this digitizer cable in place. So I peeled that up. And then after you peel that up, you want to wiggle this connector as you pull it to remove the connector just like that. Okay, so there we go. You can set this aside, or since the screen is one piece, I'm actually going to reconnect this board. Let me zoom back out. Sorry. Oops. Get rid of that. Zoom back out. Okay, so I'm going to reattach these 2 connectors to this thing. And then we're going to install the new screen. So the screen, you don't actually even need the adhesive underneath. If you want, you can replace it, but you don't actually need it. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, so I got that board back in place. This screen works perfectly fine. It's just the touchscreen goes crazy. So we had to disable the touchscreen. Technically, actually, I'll just leave these digitizer cables disconnected, and then that way, if I install it in another computer, if somebody decides they want this screen, but they don't care about the touchscreen, you can save some money that way. Alright, so I'm just going to disconnect those. And we'll just leave the board in here without those cables connected. Sorry, I'm probably going off screen so you don't see what I'm doing, but I'm just putting this board back in and leaving those connectors disconnected. Alright, so I'll set that screen aside. We'll grab the replacement screen. As you can see, this design is different. The digitizer, this board is part of the thing. You can't actually separate it. So you plug it back in the same way. If you can even see what I'm doing. Okay. Basically, you just line it back up. Slot it back in. Probably can't really see because my hands or my head or whatever's in the way, but hopefully you get the idea. And then from the sides, usually they'll have a more solid area that you can use to pull the connector in. Okay, so use the sides to pull the connector into the slot. Looks like it's flush, so put the adhesive back over the top. Okay, then we can reconnect the LCD or LVDS cable. Make sure to twist that and hold it up properly. Okay. Alright. Then you get the connector in. Get it underneath. Okay, just like that. Pull the connector in so it's all the way flush. put the latch back down, and then put the adhesive back in place to hold these cables. Okay, so let's see here, make sure it's lined up properly. Put this cable or the adhesive back over the cable. It's going to come back up anyways. Right now I'm going to test the screen. It did come with some adhesive, but these adhesive strips are super long. Basically, you would put the adhesive back in the spot on the sides of the screen like this, okay? But I don't think I'm even going to put that because it's not really necessary. It just makes it a lot more difficult to fix the computer. I did save a little bit of the original adhesive here, so it looks like this. I'm going to cut it in half and then just stick it in the slot here, and that will at least hold it a little bit. I don't need it to hold super strong like it was before. So we'll see if I can use this adhesive and put that instead. Okay. So I'm going to cut the adhesive in half. Sorry, it's off to the side of the camera. And when you, let me see if I can do this right. When you go to test the screen, you don't want to put the adhesive first. So I am cutting the adhesive, but I'm not going to put the adhesive until after I test it completely. So let's put this adhesive. Hopefully I can reuse all of this adhesive. It's a little bit tricky. This adhesive is pretty difficult to cut because it stretches out all over the place when you try and cut it. Oh, let me actually pause the thing and I'll be back once I have it cut. Alright, so I already cut the adhesive, but first what I'm going to do is test the screen. So let me show you how you do that. So have the screen back up like that. Alright, and then drop the screen down. Be careful not to drop the computer. Okay, so when you put this back, you want the back slightly raised, and then you want to slide the top half up into there. Okay, because there are little latches that hold the screen up there, and that's why you don't really need the adhesive. If you want, you can put back the 2 screws here just in case so you don't accidentally drop it or anything. Okay, let's flip that over. Let's grab the 2 screws. Okay, so you can put the 2 screws down here. Alright, this is why you don't really need the adhesive, because the screws hold the bottom in place and then the latches hold the top in place. But if you do happen to break the screw mounts, then it definitely will need that adhesive. Okay, so we got that in. Let's slowly close this. We will connect the battery. Sometimes with these you might have to plug the laptop back in, but let's try this. Alright, slot that in. Line up the battery. I know I'm doing this upside down, so it might be confusing. Let's flip it back over. Okay, again, the inside screws are pH 0, but these are going to be pH 1. Alright, so we'll just put in these 4 screws. Okay. Just like that. Alright, got all 4 screws in. So now we can actually test and see if it turns on. Alright, so let's open it up. Push the power button. The light is coming on. The fans are spinning. Alright, so far nothing on the screen. Okay, I saw the screen flicker. It might be doing a BIOS reset since I took it out. There you go. You can see the Lenovo screen. And you can see the date and time. And the touch screen is working. Alright, so here you can see I can move the date and time. I don't want to slide it all the way up because it will show the username and stuff. But there you go. So Now we're gonna put the rest back together. Oops, I guess I showed it anyways. Let's shut it down. Okay, so we'll shut that down, let it completely shut down. We are going to put some adhesive on the back of the screen. Okay, so I'm going to actually flip the screen back over 360 degrees all the way. All right, just like this. Let's take the 2 screws back out. Again, these are pH zeros. Okay, so now that we got both those screws out, again, you want to lift the bottom up. I'm going to actually fold this back over again so I can rest the glass on the keyboard itself. Let me see if I can show this. Okay, so you pull the bottom glass out and then you drop the top down. Sorry, you probably can't even see that, but you drop the top down from here, okay? And then you flop it forward. Okay, so now we're going to add the adhesive back in. So I'm going to open this all the way. So I saved some of the adhesive, and that's what we're going to reuse. Okay, so what you do, you need to have an exposed piece in the corner here, so that way you can take it back out later. So I'm going to slot the adhesive down here. Okay, and then I will just have it go up through the side here. Okay, just like that. All right, same thing with the other side. Grab this adhesive, slot it in there. You want a little piece to stick out in the bottom corner down there, because if it doesn't, you won't be able to reach it later. All right, so there we go. Now we'll put the screen back in. Let me see if I can show the entire thing in frame. Okay, so grab the screen, hold the bottom half up slightly raised off, and then slide the top up into here, just like that. Make sure it's in, because with the adhesive, once you drop it down, it's going to be very difficult to remove, though you can just stretch the adhesive to pull it back out. Okay, let's flip this back over. So I'm flipping the screen back over now. Okay, make sure you push down the screen so that it's flush. Now we will take the screws and put them back again. All right, those screws. There we go. All right, so make sure it stays in place. All right, so now we just got to put these plastic covers back on. So this bottom plastic cover, make sure these cables are all in properly. So what you do is you put the, I don't know if it matters which side first. I'll put the screen side in first, it seems easier. So tilt it this way. Let's see if I can zoom in. All right, so I'm tilting it up and then push it down. So I tilted it up to slot the screen side first, and then I snap it in place, okay? Just like that. It's a lot easier to put back than it is to take out. Okay, there we go. So now we got that back in place. Now we put the little ones here. So same thing, you do reverse. You put in this side first, because this side we took out first, and then you snap it back down in at an angle like that. Okay, so it helps to look at the clips, and then you want to kind of put it, same thing, the top side first, and then you should be able to kind of rock it around to get it to go in. Can be a little bit tricky. Come on. It's being tough right now. Let's try putting the bottom in first then. Okay, put the bottom, then this side, and then snap that side. That works. Okay, same thing with this side. Grab that, put the bottom side in. It has the curved side. Then push on this side, and then push on this side. All right, that did work a lot better. All right, so now we got that. Now we are going to put the bottom cover back on. Everything else is already in place. All the screws are in. Make sure you got the battery connected, all the other screws. Okay, sorry. All right, make sure you reconnected all the screen cables and everything if you took anything out. Now let's put this back on. I'm actually going to clean the fans and the bottom cover real quick, so I'm going to pause the video and I'll be back. Alright, I'm back, so let's put the bottom cover back in. Okay, so if I remember correctly, we pushed it. How do we do that? We pulled it down to get it? Okay, so let's put this back on. Got the clips here. So I'm going to line these bottom clips up and then push them in. Oh, that was much easier than removing it. Let me do the removal process just again, one more time to make sure. So push it that way. All right, so I'm pushing it back towards the back. Yes, that unclips it. Okay, yep, that's how you remove it. Okay, so you push the cover backwards and that will let you unclip the corners, and then after that you can lift and pull the cover out that way. Right, again, putting it back, it's a lot easier. Just have it at an angle. Push these clips back down in place, and then after that you can push the corners in. Right, then you can push the rest of the clips in, and there we go. Put the screws back in. Again, switch back to the T5. All right, and put back all these screws. All right. And that's pretty much all there is to this model. I didn't show how to remove the logic board, but hopefully most people won't need to do that. If you are going to that level of repair, I would hope that you can figure out how to remove the logic board. Right. There we go. Just putting back all the screws, and then I like to power it on one more time just to make sure everything is working. Okay. Last few screws, and then remove the protective coating for the screen. Alright, usually I leave the protective coating on the screen until I'm done, because in case I have to return it, I don't want them to be like, why'd you peel it off? Okay, last screw. Alright, there we go. So we got all the screws out. Flip the computer back over. Alright. Press the power button, make sure it turns on. Alright, everything's lighting up. The screen is on. And it looks like we're good. Alright, so I'm going to peel this thing off. Alright. Set that aside. Okay. So now make sure the touchscreen's working well. It looks good. Power button looks like it's working. Press the globe. Looks like it's working. Alright, press the ease of access. It's working. That it's working. Okay. So we are going to shut it down now. Looks like it's good. And there we go. So hopefully this video helped you guys. If it did, please like and subscribe because it'll help others find my videos. It'll also help me. And thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye.